Welcome to the daily Hathor transmission. So today we have some very important topics. We'll be discussing the 7 Hathors, the 13th Zodiac of the Serpent, and last but not least, the Pleiadian Kundalini codes. All right, so the first thing I want to start sharing is that a lot of this knowledge that I'm going to share today is usually deemed to be this type of knowledge that kind of has been forgotten, right? But it hasn't. It's been hidden for a very long time. And because we're going through the Great Awakening, the age of revelation, the apocalypse, which is exactly what that means, now this information is coming up, and it's helping us understand our true origins and who we really are. And so when I did a lot of these past life regression, I remember being a guardian of a lot of these codes, and for many lifetimes it wasn't safe for me to share them. And so it's kind of like a bittersweet moment right now, because obviously I feel excited and very honored to be able to share this type of knowledge. But also there's this part of me that still grieves, not just the past life where I was killed for saying, these types of things, but also all my soul sisters and brothers who lost their lives because they were sharing this type of knowledge, basically. And so the first thing I want to dive deep into is the topic of the 7 Hathors. I know a lot of people are being curious about this, and for good reason, actually. The Hathorian lineage works a lot at night through our subconscious. And so a lot of people are getting the same dreams, or at least, when they wake up, they kind of know that they have to look into the 7 Hathors. So this is something that's very common right now. And so the 7 Hathors actually represent 2 different type of things, actually. The first thing is the 7 archetypes of the divine feminine. And another thing as well, the 7 Hathors represent the 7 chakras, because once we unlock the entire chakra system, that's when we're able to have this life force energy that's flowing through us very freely. So that's what it means, basically. I mean, if I can just give a quick explanation, that's what it means. Obviously, I go into much details into my book called Hathor, Building the Priestess Empire. I have an entire chapter about the codes, and this is part of them. And also, I don't know if you knew about this, which is kind of interesting as well. Mary Magdalene was a high priestess of the Hathor lineage. There isn't a lot of information about this online, unfortunately, because it's been hidden. But even when you Google that type of information, you're going to see a couple of blogs and people sharing this. And it's really interesting, because when I started having all these downloads about, creating this etheric Hathor temple and sharing the codes and everything, I didn't know that there was a connection with Mary Magdalene and Jesus and the Christ consciousness. I kind of just followed what my higher self was telling me, but it didn't make any sense for me at the time. I was just taking one step at a time every single day. But it's beautiful when I look back now to see how, big. I'm trying to find another word, but I never understood how this would impact so many people. So yeah, I feel very honored and very blessed to be able to convey these codes. And obviously there was a whole darker aspect of this journey. But obviously I'm just talking about the positive part of it. And also something else, that's really important within the Hathor temple is the Dendera zodiac, right? And something that's really specific to the zodiac is that there is a 13 zodiac of the serpent, right? So in modern astrology, there's only 12 signs. But when you look inside the temple of Hathor on the ceiling, actually the French, I think, took the ceiling. So now the Dendera zodiac, I think, is at Le Louvre in France, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. And when you look at the Dendera zodiac, you can see that there is a 13 zodiac sign, which is Ophiuchus. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. Ophiuchus. And this zodiac god, basically, it's funny because usually when I read about this online, it says, oh, it's been forgotten. I mean, it hasn't been forgotten. It's been hidden because, and I'm going to share exactly why. So this is, by the way, the zodiac between Scorpio and Sagittarius. He is also called the Serpent bearer, and he represents the god of medicine. So he's often associated with doctors, with healing images. He's a god that basically learned the secret to immortality, right? So he learned basically how to heal his entire chakra system, and now his Kundalini serpent energy is flowing freely. And obviously, this is the key to immortality, to ascend, to basically liberate your soul from the earth plane. And so obviously they wanted to hide this type of information. So Ophiuchus is also a magician. He uses ether-based magic, and his opposite, so his soulmate, is Neptune, right? So the female version of him. So a lot of information right now to take in, but basically that's what it means. The Temple of Hathor, in the physical, was one of the last feminine temples, and this feminine temple was a reminder of the cycles of nature, the life flow of Kundalini, but all the feminine codes were basically within the temple. They are still there, actually. When you look within the walls, there are still symbols about this that are coming up now, because a lot of us are waking up to our past lives and what we have to do, and how we can use these codes right now to heal the masses, right? And so now, what about the Pleiadian Kundalini codes, right? Because that's what the Hathors do. That's what I'm doing as a high priestess of the temple. I am a guardian of these codes. And so there are certain type of information that I can only share with people that have been initiated. And I'm not coming from a place of spiritual superiority. I'm just saying there's this divine order of things. And what I notice as well is when you give someone an information that they're not ready to hear, or they haven't been initiated, they're not going to receive the information anyway. And it's going to trigger them into their ego even more. So there's really like a higher purpose behind this, a divine order. That's how I call it. So there are different steps of initiation throughout the temple. And these codes, by the way, were actually stolen by Freemasons. A lot of their rituals and information are based on the Temple of Hathor. And even when you look at the symbolism and the people associated with this, it all comes down to the Temple of Hathor. So when you dive really deep into this, that's when I realize how important and how powerful these codes are. And so basically the temple is aligned with the Pleiades in the sky, right? So also why there are 7 Hathors, there are also 7 stars within the Pleiades as well. So that's also another connection as well. What else can I share about this? There's so many connections to do, because even in the Bible, the reason why it took 7 days to create Earth, that's also another hidden symbolism behind this phrase. And so the Pleiadians also worked with the Venusians, and that's the part of information that people kind of keep away. I mean, for some reason, obviously for a reason. But yeah, the Pleiades, from my understanding, was a portal for the Venusians to basically come into this plane. And so the Pleiadians and the Venusians have been working together. So when we're talking about the Hathorian starseed, we also talk about the Venusian. So it's usually the same type of starseed. So they've been working together, obviously. But the Venusians have been working, I would say, more in the shadows than the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians have been really upfront. A lot of the studies have been on the Pleiades as well. But obviously the Venusians have been here since the beginning of time, and they've been working hand in hand with the Pleiadians as well. So officially, I would say the Temple of Hathor is a Venusian temple. So when you look at the Venusian qualities, or I would say themes that are usually related to, it's really about, pleasure, love, easiness, flowing. It's all these like really feminine qualities. So when you look at someone's birth chart, usually when you look at the Venus sign, this is, for a man, it could be what they're attracted to within a partner. And for women, it's how she acts in her romantic partnerships. So yeah, that's it for today's transmission. Hopefully you've learned a few things. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. And I'll see you tomorrow in the daily transmission. Bye.